I was asked if I could take a second look at the Strymon BigSky MX as my first impressions video earlier highlighted things that you should be aware of. So I went ahead and bought myself a unit. Now that I've had some time for a deep dive, I gotta say, this is amazing. Before we go on, I'd like to say a big thank you to today's semi-sponsor, Sweely, who gave a generous discount so that I could keep this unit. To be clear, I put in a chunk of my own money, which I didn't mind doing because I just love Strymon gear. So consider this a partnered post. I'm literally putting money where my mouth is. I've been surveying the chatter surrounding the BigSky MX and I've encountered several broad strokes. One of the reasons for resistance getting into this pedal is its seemingly complicated control layout. There are a lot of knobs in this, and the bigger screen further cements the impression that you're working with a quantum supercomputer. It's my belief that if there was a desktop editor, it will improve the BigSky MX's receptivity. But as of October 2024, there's still no way of tweaking tones on the computer. Nixie 2, Strymon's desktop app that provides support for their other pedals, is still limited to just preset import and export. So until that day comes, we'll have to go fully manual, which is the topic of today's video. Let's see how we can understand the lay of the land that is a Strymon BigSky MX. So we see that we have the pedals set up with my HX Stomp rig, and the way that's run, this is the last thing in the chain of an effects loop that's going back into the HX Stomp with dual amps at the end. So this is going to hit the front end of the amps such that it will distort if we are running them pretty hard. And that's entirely possible because the BigSky does have very big reverbs. At first, you might be intimidated by all these knobs, and that's completely fair. It is a complicated pedal. It's easier to understand how the knobs interact with one another and how they contribute to a control scheme once you start to compartmentalize which order of operations are you on. Are you on preset management, meaning that you're on very top layer, and after preset management is tweaking, and that's the layer where all these knobs come into play. At the very top level of preset management, the value encoder will navigate your presets, and in this case I'm going all on blanks because I want to show you how to tweak a preset. But as you can see, the BigSky has a ton of presets that you can start off with, and I'm just going to try something here. That's a really cool room, by the way. Melancholy. Pretty cool. Let's start from scratch so that you know how to use all these knobs in concert with one another. This encoder here changes the reverb type. And let's go to, let's say, the chorale reverb. And the basic sound sounds like this. Lots of things you can change right there. To edit the preset, you can do a few things. You can just use the knobs right here. The mix and the decay are your most important parameters. This turns up the reverb decay, and this turns up the mix to be 50%, I think. Of course, you can turn out pre-delay. Pre-delay is a very important feature for reverbs. You want to turn this up a bit so that it sounds not so immediate, and it's going to be a bit more natural sounding if you have a bit of pre-delay in it. Tone will brighten or it will darken the reverb. Mod is a dedicated knob for the modulation of the signal, and I think if you turn this up, it's going to get a bit more wobbly and almost like there is a chorus pedal in it. So I might turn this down. Parameters 1 and 2, these knobs will be different depending on the specific reverb machine. Some of these machines have parameter 1 mapped to the low end, but you can change what parameter is mapped to the parameter knobs if you so desire. So low end will thicken it up or turn it down. Parameter 2, for the chorale reverb changes, it's vowel sound. So it was on R, I believe. Let's go to oo. And this, of course, turns up the mix. Now let's say that was your basic sound that you like, but you want to deep dive a bit more. There's one more level that you can go down, and that is with the value encoder. Now take a deep breath, read what it says. This value encoder says that if you push, it goes into the parameters where you can deep dive. If you hold, push and hold, that brings you back out of the menu. And if you hold for 3 seconds, that gets you to global settings. Let's go into deep diving. So I'm going to press this once. I'm not going to hold it. I'm going to press it once. And now you see that there are more parameters that you can tweak in addition to what was mapped to parameters 1 and 2. The low end, the vowel, the resonance, which I want to keep it there. The choir. Right. You can add a choir signal to this. Why not? Choir voice. Oh, tenor, baritone. Let's turn this up. One thing about these reverbs, you play a wrong note, it's going to repeat itself. So boom and nagging number 1, practice your scales and know where your notes are. I accidentally hit a wrong note on that one. Now here's where things get a bit interesting. Let's say you want to go back out of this menu. I'm going to press and hold slightly. Now the huge thing about BigSky MX is that you have the opportunity to use 2 reverb machines at once. So let's say you have a chorale sound and you want to make it extra big with a Cloud reverb. We can do that by looking at what this encoder does. If you see what this printing over here, it says type. When you push this once, this will enable you to access the second reverb. If you press and hold, that saves it. I'm going to push this once, and you'll see that this sign lights up. So this will tell me that reverb 2 is off. And to turn it on, we turn this. This means that reverbs 1 and 2 are in parallel. This means that reverb 1 is feeding to reverb 2. This means reverb 2 is feeding to reverb 1. This means that there is a split. The left and the right outputs will have reverb 1 and 2 respectively on left, right. And one more time, the split is where reverb 1 goes to the right, reverb 2 goes to the left. It just flips it, that's all it is. Now I want reverb 1 to feed into reverb 2. So let's go to 1, arrow to 2. When you push down, this now gives you the access to the Cloud reverb, which sounds like this, combined. Same thing now, you can tweak the reverb. Let's turn up the decay to something a bit crazy. Let's turn the pre-delay up. Let's turn the tone down because I want this to be a underneath pad kind of thing. Let's turn the modulation down slightly as well because reverb 1 already has some modulation in it. Let's turn the low end down because I'm not going to have a thunderous kind of sound. And let's have this ensemble feature turn up slightly. I'm very curious as to how this sounds like. This is currently mapped to the middle, which I want to increase it slightly. Oh, let's see how this sounds like. It's really cool. Now, what hidden features are there in the second reverb? We can do that by pushing down on the parameter. Let's go and turn this diffusion up. Okay, so infinite latch. So this feature corresponds to what this button does. Right now, it's mapped to momentary, meaning that the reverb only holds as long as it holds this button. If I were to just go back out one more time, this is how this all sounds like if I play a chord. The infinite feature is turned on. If I let it go, the reverb turns off. What happens if I push infinite latch? I turn this to latching. What do we have? Let's go back out. Same thing. I'm not not sure if I can infinite hold the second reverb instead of the first. I haven't figured it out yet. If you know, do put it in the comments. I want to learn as well. I forgot to mention, when you have two reverbs engaged, pressing the reverb machine encoder will navigate between reverbs 1 and 2, as you can see right here. Now you've got this preset dialed in. Now, very important, you need to save your work. Otherwise, if you navigate out of this and accidentally use the value encoder to turn, you're going to lose all your work you've done on this reverb so far. So you have to save. How do we save? Let's press and hold this one, because this encoder says press and hold to save. Let's do that. Press and hold. Now, very important. I've done this so many times. I've never get it out of save mode accidentally because I nudged these knobs. So be very careful. You only want to use these two encoders to do your saving. This is where you move the cursor from saving location. Let's say I don't want to save it to 54A, I want to save it to 54B or anywhere else. This is entirely possible, up to you. And to help you not lose track where you started from, the original preset location is right here, 54A. So we're going to scroll to the letters. I'm going to call this Cloud, just for the fun of it, because it's choir and cloud. Don't you love the new screen? This is such a joy to work with. If you're happy with the name and happy with the saving location, press and hold again this encoder to save. Save complete. And now you can safely navigate out and get back to your cloud. Let's hear how this sounds like in context with the rest of my rig, where I'm going to bring in a couple of delays. And it's a matter of just getting used to the knobs and how they work. So I'm going to turn this to really crank it up. I want to have mine, let's say, something insanely high decay and moderate mix. How does this sound like now? I'm sure it's going to be crazy. A big takeaway for me is that I always need time with gear to fully know it and to maximize its features. It's making me rethink how much time I realistically need to do product demos and to be thorough in any pre-reading of manuals if I don't have the opportunity to take the pedal home before giving my opinion about it. Regarding the BigSky MX, it's not one of those pedals that can be mastered in a day, but it's certainly not one of those pedals that takes a university degree to understand it. Just like how I still own a first-gen BigSky, I'm certain that this device is future-proof for the next 10 years, maybe even more. But that's me. What about you? Did this video help you decide on trying a BigSky MX out? Let me know in the comment section below. If you found value in this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon to grow the channel, join the community, and get YouTube to send this out to more people. Thank you. If you want a well-rounded perspective of the BigSky MX, check out my previous video where I shared 3 things to be aware of before you buy the pedal. I'll see you there.